What did you just say to me? I said you need to come with me, right now.
"Don't you dare walk away from me," the biker snarled, his beer slamming so hard on the counter that foam spilled across the wood. The waitress froze mid-step, tray in hand, but she didn't turn around. That silence, her refusal to react, wasn't weakness. It was defiance, and to him, that was unforgivable. He shoved through the crowd, boots thudding like drums. In a flash, his fist gripped her collar, buttons scattered like coins across the floor as fabric ripped under his hand. The bar burst into laughter, the kind that feeds on cruelty. "Let's see how tough you really are," he jeered, yanking her shirt open for everyone to see. But the moment the cloth tore, the laughter stopped. The air snapped heavy with shock. Across her chest, bold and unflinching, was a tattoo that silenced the whole room. The eagle, globe, and anchor of the United States Marine Corps. The biker's smile faltered, his fist, still holding her shirt, trembled, her chin lifted high, her voice cutting through the silence. "You think strength is leather and noise. I've carried brothers through fire. I've buried friends so you could waste your life in bars. Don't you ever mistake me for fragile again." The crowd didn't laugh now, glasses hung mid-air, jaws slack, eyes darting between her and the man who suddenly looked small. The night had started like any other. The gang of bikers had stormed in, filling the place with the sound of boots, laughter, and smoke. They pushed their way to the bar, louder than the jukebox, hungrier for trouble than for food. She worked with quiet efficiency, moving from table to table with steady hands and a forced smile. Years of practice taught her how to read drunks, who would tip, who would start fights, who needed cutting off. But that night, the leader, the one with the sneer, had decided to single her out. "You're just a waitress," he spat earlier, leaning close enough that she could smell the whiskey on his breath. "Carrying drinks, smiling for tips. Don't pretend you're more than that." She hadn't answered. That silence, that refusal to take his bait, was what enraged him. Minutes later, he made his move, the move that changed everything. What the crowd didn't know was that years before she carried trays, she carried stretchers. She had worn a different uniform. A desert sun had baked her skin, explosions had rattled her bones, and the cries of the wounded had seared themselves into her memory. She was a combat medic, a Marine who patched broken bodies under fire. She had watched friends draw their last breath, had pressed her hands against wounds while bullets tore the air around her. She remembered one night in particular, the voice of a young soldier gasping in her arms, "Tell my mom I wasn't afraid." That memory had followed her home, where the parades were gone, the cheers forgotten, and the world moved on as if nothing had happened. Bills piled up, jobs came and went. Eventually she ended up here, in a roadside bar, wearing an apron instead of armor. But her spirit hadn't broken. She carried the core with her, on her chest, in her soul, in every step she took. And now, standing half-bared in front of a biker who thought he could humiliate her, that truth burned brighter than ever. The biker stepped back, his hand falling to his side, his voice once booming, cracked. I didn't know." Her stare didn't soften. "That's the problem. You never bother to know. You judge, you mock, you bully. But you don't see the wars people are already fighting." The silence in the bar was suffocating. Even his crew avoided his eyes, their swagger crumbling into awkward shame. One man lowered his head, another shuffled his boots, and then, slowly, the sound began. Not laughter, not jeers, applause. First one set of hands, then another, until the room filled with claps that carried respect instead of cruelty. She didn't bow, she didn't smile. She simply fixed her torn shirt, lifted her tray, and walked back behind the counter as if nothing had happened. Her dignity had not only survived, it had risen higher than ever. The biker who had tried to shame her now stood exposed, his pride stripped away in front of everyone he had once commanded. No punch, no shove, no bar brawl could have broken him the way that single tattoo did. And he knew it. That night, every soul in that bar carried a story out the door. Some left embarrassed, some left humbled, some left inspired, but none left unchanged. Because strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it stands quiet, steady and unshaken until the world finally sees. And for those who saw her that night, not just the waitress, but the Marine, one lesson would never be forgotten. True strength isn't in tearing people down. It's in the battles you've already survived. Never underestimate the quiet ones. You don't know the wars they've already fought. Before we end this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comment.